Hey guys, it's Z, and in this video I'll be showing you the basics on EV3 Python coding and how to run the robot. So if you watched the last two videos, you know that we have finished setting up our computer and robot, so we can finally start coding. This video, I'm just going to explain the process of coding, and in the next videos I'll go into detail about the actual codes. Make sure you have done all the previous steps from the last video, or else your code won't work. This video is a long one, but one of the most important videos. We are now going to start a new program, or you could call it a project. To make a project, go to File, then select New File. You should now have a new file. Next, we are going to create a folder for this file. Go to File and add a new folder to your computer. Name it whatever you want. After you have made a new folder, save the file that you just made into the folder. Lastly, name the file. Now do not forget what I'm about to tell you. Name this file whatever you want, but do not forget to add .py to the end of it. So you may be asking, why do we have to add .py? Well, if you don't add .py to the end of the file name, the computer will not recognize if the script is a Python script. It will think that you just have some random text that doesn't have any meaning, which you don't want. After you name it, press save. You can also save it by pressing Ctrl S, or if you're on the MacBook, Command S. Anytime you want to create a new program, create a new file and put it inside the folder you have made. Always remember to add .py. You are now ready to code. I'm just putting a code here to make the robot go forward, but do not copy this yet because I will explain this in the next video. Here's the basics of EV3 coding. If you add a hashtag in front of a sentence or a word, it acts like a comment on the script. If you're familiar with the LEGO Mindstorm drag and drop coding, you know that if you want to explain the code, you can add a comment to the program to explain your code. As you know, comments do not affect the code itself. The start of the code starts with the shebang. The shebang is also a special sequence of characters in the script that specifies which program should run the script. The shebang is almost always the first line of the script. In this case, it is specifying that we are using the EV3 Python program. If this is incorrect, tell me in the comment section below. I appreciate the feedback I can get to become a better programmer. This area over here is setting up our code. I'll go into more detail about this part in the next video, but basically it lets the robot know when you're asking a certain part of the robot to move. In other words, it's kind of setting up the parameters of our code. In this particular code, it is letting the robot know of the port B and C of the robot, which in this case is the left and right motor of the robot, as well as the move steering control. Next, we have variables. The variable here is called steer_pair. This variable is shown to be referring to the move steering parameter up here. Once again, I'll explain a bit more in detail in the next video. Lastly, we have the part of the code that actually makes the robot move. In this code, you can see the steer_pair variable I just talked about, but you may notice that it has the dot on for degrees on it. This is basically letting the code know that this code is in degrees. Kind of like how you want to change the move steering block in the LEGO Mindstorm program from degrees to rotations. We then have the stuff in the parentheses. The blue words here are also variables, but they aren't as important as the ones on the top that we talked about. You can actually code without these variables, but I highly recommend adding them. These blue words are basically letting you know what each value in the parentheses is for. If you're like me, you probably won't be able to remember what each value is for in the parentheses, so these are very useful. Now the last part of the video is how to download the code onto the robot. Just for some background, the line on the bottom of the screen actually says a lot when you're running the robot. When the line is blue, you're in standard mode. It means you aren't downloading anything yet. Orange means that you have downloaded the script and the code is running or is about to run. Last, we have purple, which means you don't have any folders or any codes open. There are multiple ways to connect the computer to the robot. However, I will be showing you how to connect through the USB cable since you should already have it. You can connect through Bluetooth and the internet, however, I will not go over it. First, plug the robot into the computer with the USB cable. Remember to turn the robot on and also remember to have the SD card in it while you turn it on. Then look on your screen and on the bottom left it says EV3 Dev Device Browser. Select it and under that it says click here to connect device. When you do that, on the top there should be a thing that pops up that says EV3 Dev. Select it. If you don't see it, you may have forgotten to turn your robot on, connect it on the USB, or you might just have to wait a few seconds. Then look under EV3 Dev Device Browser again, and the EV3 Dev should be there. You may notice that there's a color dot beside EV3 Dev. If it's yellow, you are connecting to the computer. If it's green, you are connected to the computer. And if it's red, you have disconnected. Now we have the final step, transferring the code to the robot. So go to debug mode and make sure that the panel has the words download and run. Then press the green start debugging button. You can also download by pressing F5. The code should now be downloaded onto the robot. It does take a while for the robot to start the code, which is why I do not recommend this for competitions. It can be very inconvenient and very inconsistent on the starting time. If your robot doesn't start running after you press the start debugging button, you may have to start the code from the robot instead of the computer. I will show you how now. Now you have finally learned the basics on coding and how to run your robot. If you have questions about this or you're having trouble, please leave a comment below. In the next video, we are finally going to learn how to code the motors of our robot. Thanks for watching the video. Subscribe to the channel for more on our 2020 to 2021 FLL season, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!